In this video, I'm going to talk about what it was like living in the 50s, 60s and the 70s without gluten. If you liked the video and the content, give it a like or subscribe to my channel. This is a great resource for living gluten-free. Hello, I'm Mike Hines from JustKnowGluten.com. Just a few decades ago, most people didn't know about anything about gluten. Today, there's an unmistakable trend of people going gluten-free in the hopes of solving all of their gut woes. Why is this? Back in the 50s, 60s and 70s, people didn't have the health concerns that they are now present in a large portion of the population. Wheat has been around for thousands of years. It's easy to grow and it's quite nutritious. It was probably one of the first foods items our forefathers gathered to feed themselves. Wheat was truly a lifesaver. For all those thousands of years, the whole grain kernel was ground and used to bake bread or prepare cereals. Fresh whole grain has always been part of our diet without being harmful to our health. Roll on the 60s and 70s, it was then that people began to realize that wheat they were consuming was making them sick. In the past 50 years, incidence of celiac disease has increased by 400%. That's quadrupling and really shocking. Just a mere decade ago, gluten intolerance levels were at 1 in 2,500 worldwide. Today, that figure is at 1 in 133. A study about a year ago in the Journal of the American Medical Association showed that celiacs have a 39% increased risk of death, mainly from heart disease and cancer, than the average population. You have to ask yourself, what have we done differently in the past 5 decades or so to cause such an increase? What's happened in that time? Have our bodies changed? No, they haven't. It's the wheat we have relied on for thousands of years that has changed and twisted into something our forefathers wouldn't even recognize. Industrialization has been good to mankind, but it hasn't always been kind to the food we consume. Let's start with white flour, the first food that we would call processed. In the 1870s, the flour mill allowed wheat to be separated to refine the wheat into a white powder. White flour was considered fancy. Again, so to meet consumer demand, white flour was produced en masse, and the rest of the kernel, the nutritious part, was tossed aside. Within a decade, all flour was white and seriously lacking in nutrients. 10 years was all the time it took to change thousands of years of nourishment into something fancy and lacking in many nutrients. And that was only the beginning. By the 1950s, technology once again let us improve our wheat. New techniques allowed for genetically altered seeds, fertilizers and harmful pesticides to increase wheat production. And how we all rejoiced. More wheat for everyone, and cake for everybody. While the production of wheat increased, its nutritional value was being mangled into something unrecognizable. While at the same time, inflammations and immune diseases were being linked directly to this new, improved wheat. Anyone who believes that gluten-free is just a modern phase is half right. It is something new and modern, but it is not a phase. An increasing number of people are suffering from the effects of modern wheat and refined flour. The degree can vary from a bit of wheat sensitivity to a greater intolerance right onto celiac disease, which is the inability to process any amount of wheat due to problems in the small intestines. And that's especially true in the case of celiac disease. The digestive system views gluten as invaders and reacts accordingly. As it tries to attack these toxins, the lining of the gut itself can become damaged, resulting in leaks, inflammation and other problems. Serious gastrointestinal problems are the result. The number of people diagnosed with celiac disease has quadrupled in the past 50 years. 1% of the population now suffers from celiac disease, and the number is rising. And wheat sensitivity affects up to 8% of the population. It is now obvious that the new improved wheat is making people ill. In studies comparing modern improved wheat to the old wheat, which was called einkorn, it was found that the old wheat had no harm effects at all. No one who consumed unrefined wheat suffered any ill or side effects or gastrointestinal problems. The same study showed that modern wheat can affect our autoimmune system in harmful ways, leading to celiac disease and allergies. Though people who are not allergic to modern wheat can still suffer. A study made in 2013 had healthy participants eat either new or old wheat for 2 months. The group that consumed the old wheat found their cholesterol level had decreased and their level of potassium and magnesium had increased. The opposite was actually true of the group given the new wheat. It is important to distinguish between gluten sensitivity and celiac disease, although they can have the same symptoms. Gluten sensitivity results in feelings of fatigue, bloating, diarrhea, nausea, and headaches. Many people don't even associate those feelings with wheat, so it's critical that doctors ask the right questions and test for wheat allergy. People diagnosed with celiac disease suffer from identical symptoms, but the problem is more specifically defined. The gluten attacks the inflammatory system and can damage the small intestine. Inflammation is linked with a myriad of problems such as heart disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and others. The role of gluten itself is being studied. What has become clear, however, is that this modern improved wheat is causing some serious illnesses. While wheat can be found almost everywhere, it is most commonly used in breads, cakes, cookies, pasta, cream soups and sauces, cereals, and some salad dressings. Rye wheat can be found in rye breads, beer, and some cereals. Of course, wheat can be found in many other hidden places as well, and I have discussed this in a previous video. What has become clear is that people who have eliminated wheat and gluten from their diet feel better and become healthier. Anyone suffering from celiac disease, going gluten-free is a necessity. For others, it's just a lifestyle choice. A gluten-free diet is often chosen to lose weight. After all, a diet filled with breads, cakes and noodles is sky high in carbohydrates, and you're just bound to pack on the pounds. The reason being is that refined wheat can cause a sugar spike. Basically, that means you use sugar for fuel while the fat just gets stored and piled up. People often find that losing weight by cutting refined flour to be much easier and quicker. Celiac disease can also run in families and can be hereditary. People with parents or grandparents who have suffered from celiac disease have a 1 in 10 chance of becoming a grain intolerant. I hope you enjoyed this video on an era that was definitely a lot healthier for some of us. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye for now. See you soon.